Yes, he's the MP for Old Tafo. Now, he has decided to go to court over this matter, and he issued a statement early this morning. Office of Member of Parliament, Honorable Vincent Teko Asefwa, MP Old Tafo constituency. We are going to court, say no to unjust dismissals. As has already failing Mahama government promised to implement a certain 24-hour economy plan, claiming it was designed to create jobs and expand economic opportunities. However, instead of focusing on delivering the real change he promised to the young people of Ghana, the government seems more interested in political appointment drama and endless committee formations than in actual governance. It is deeply unfortunate and unacceptable that young people duly recruited by a properly constituted Ghanaian government are now being dismissed without just cause. This is nothing but political victimization, and I refuse to stand by and watch it happen. As a young MP, I have decided to fight for the affected youth. We're taking this battle to court to ensure that this already failing government does not have unchecked power to unjustly terminate hardworking young employees. If this government is serious about job creation, it should be expanding opportunities, not displacing workers. Sacking people and replacing them does nothing to reduce unemployment. It only deepens economic hardship. Moreover, ours is a constitutional government. We're governed by laws and not some unknown unconstitutional principles. The powers of government are limited by the constitution that creates those powers. Our 1992 constitution abhors the arbitrary exercise of power in a capricious fashion. The constitution further frowns upon the removal, dismissal, or termination of the employment of persons belonging to the public services without a just cause. Even in private spheres, we're guided by the principles of fair hearing. We cannot sit and allow the government to abuse us in a manner that does not accord with due process of law. An approach which is dehumanizing and a violation of our entrenched rights is not only human, but more importantly, Ghanaians. As not only humans, but more importantly, Ghanaians. A future NPP government will reinstate all the affected persons. If you are a victim of this politically motivated dismissal, I urge you to reach out immediately. We'll fight this injustice together. Signed, Eko Vincent Asefwa, MP. And he puts his contact and his email address. Kwesi, what do you make of this?
Well, first, if a matter is before a court, as they say, of competent jurisdiction, we cannot comment on that.
He hasn't actually effected the processes yet. He's now expressing his intention to go to court.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he says he wants to go to court.
Okay, but even then,
okay,
the law is clear.
Right.
Where there's a likelihood that a matter will go before a court of competent jurisdiction, one has to be careful with the comments because it can still be prejudicial.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to be very measured.
Okay.
The MP's own statement, he makes a promise, which is that a future NPP government will reinstate all the affected persons. There's certain lack of confidence in the course of action he intends to take. As if he were sure that rights have been violated, constitution has been violated, and so on, then he ought to have some confidence that the court will reverse these dismissals. That claim that a future NPP government will reinstate the affected persons does not show much confidence in the action that he intends to take. That's the first point. Now, he talks about appointment or engagement by, a legitimate government and so on. When I read the Chief of Staff's letter, it does appear that the Chief of Staff is talking about appointments which came into effect after January 7th, when the New Patriotic Party was no longer in power.
Actually, after December 7, actually, not January. After December 7. Remember that Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, as a member of the Joint Transition Team, actually had cause to bring this matter up in the public and said, look, they were aware that the NPP at the time, which has lost elections, were packing the public and civil service with quote-unquote party cronies and had expressed concerns about it and said that if they continued, they would discontinue it, yes.
If after a government has been voted out, it packs the public and civil service, that's a problem. You can no longer be talking about a legitimate government Where is the legitimacy derived from?
Why not, Kwesi?
When you have been voted out of power.
Yeah, but the legitimacy ends 7th January 2025.
You're talking about legitimacy. Watch the word.
Right.
Legitimacy is the operative word.
Right.
When you have been voted out of power, you no longer have the legitimacy.
What legitimacy, Kwesi? Political, constitutional?
All of it.
How?
There is a difference between legality and legitimacy, and I hope that you are conscious of that.
Yes, I'm very.
I'm saying that when you have been voted out of power, you no longer have the legitimacy. You have been rejected. You understand? It's clear. Now, the 1 month wait is only for administrative purposes, to effect the will of the people and so on. So that must be very clear. Now, again, I think that there's a lot of precedent. And all of us would remember the comments which were made by J.H. Mensah, the Venerable J.H. Mensah, about such appointments, and how he felt very strongly that they were not only illegitimate, but also illegal. And his promise to reverse them when the NPP took over power. So clearly, there's a precedent. Now, you're not talking about 1 or 2 appointments. You're talking about multitudes of appointments.
Thousands of them.
Exactly. So it would thus suggest that there was a deliberate effort to pack these state institutions. And I would find that extremely wrong. I have a problem about appointments into the public sector. I have a huge problem. I'm watching the scene now, and I've watched the scene before. A certain impression is being created that the only way of getting employment in the public service, and even sometimes in the civil service, is to become a party loyalist. And I think that that's an affront to merit, to the promotion of merit in our public institutions. I mean, it got so bad that at some point, even a public relations officer of a state institution was appointed by the president. I think we should frown on this. We should begin, at least in some critical areas, to insist on merit. Because right now, all that is required is a party card. It's not a problem that the NDC created. It's a problem which has existed, which appears to be continued by the NDC. And I'm very frightened about that situation. A situation where the only qualification for public service appointment and so on is a party card. It's frightening. We are weakening state institutions, we are undermining state institutions, and to a very large extent, we are even affronting the Constitution. You understand? So I'm worried about that as a matter of principle. At the same time, I'm worried about a situation where any political party, any government, would deliberately pack the public services. That should not be accepted. I mean, if it's a case of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 20 persons being appointed, one may overlook it for various reasons. But when, as you said,
thousands of people
are being packed into these state institutions, it sounds like, looks like, and appears to be a deliberate packing of state institutions with party loyalists. And I think we should frown on that.